Telecommunications has been described as the infrastructure because of its enviable contributions to the development of the Nigerian economy, with over $70 million investments. So it came like a rude shock to the industry when the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority issued a 30-day ultimatum to owners and operators of masts and towers around airports nationwide to either comply with the rules or face demolition. The telecom industry did not take this statement lightly at all. Firing the first salvo was the chairman, Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, Engineer Gbenga Adebayo, who described the move by the NCAA as another way to impose unwarranted taxes on the sector, which was already overburdened by multiple taxation.
Well, we read in the papers this morning that the National Civil Aviation Authority has raised a 30-day ultimatum for some operators to pay up what they call the aviation height clearance permit, failing which they will begin to decommission such sites. And we are of the view that that's completely against the spirit of our last meeting with the NCAA. We think it is a misplaced attack on the industry. We think that procedurally it is not right for NCA to go to the public when we're having that kind of conversation ongoing to raise that kind of threat to us as an industry. And our position is that they do not have any rights to do what they are attempting to do. Should they go ahead doing that, there will be sanctions and there will certainly be criminal prosecution. As you are aware, telecom is critical national security and economic infrastructure, and anybody or any agency that impacts on the smooth operations of this industry will face severe sanctions. We hope that NCA has not been misrepresented in the press, in the media. But if what we have read is what they have said, we think it is against the spirit of progress. We are very concerned as an industry, and we hope that the appropriate authorities will intervene and speak to the aviation authorities. But the issue in perspective is that NCA demand, as allowed by law, to seek aviation height clearance for any infrastructure that is along the flight path. In essence, any telecom tower or mast that is along the flight path around in the neighborhood of the airport require aviation height clearance. And I dare say there is no infrastructure of telecom operators around the airport or anywhere so required by law that does not have this clearance. So the issue is not in obtaining aviation height clearance. The issue in dispute is in seeking a renewal for those height clearance for those towers that have been so obtained. And our argument is that for the first time that you are going to install such an infrastructure, you require the clearance because they are fixed infrastructure. The location do not change and they don't grow taller in height. So once you clear the height at the start and you have the necessary permission to do so signed by the aviation authorities, we do not see a reason why you have to go back on a yearly basis to pay an annual renewal for those height clearance because there is no physical change in the structure. So, and this was a point of dispute at our meeting. We did say that they argued that the Act allowed them to. And we say practice does not sound normal. It doesn't sound normal in practice to have this kind of charges on a yearly basis. And the number of towers that we're talking about is quite significant across the country. We did agree to set up an inter-agency committee to work with us, between us and the NCA and our regulator, to look at these issues. And we had submitted names of members of our committee to the aviation authorities, and we are surprised to read in the papers that they are going to go ahead to decommission the site. We think it is wrong to do so, and we think that in the interest of national security they will not attempt it, because I say very clearly that the reason the issue is not about the aviation clearance, it's about renewal of aviation height clearance, and that's just the point. And NCA should be bold enough to come out to say they're asking for annual renewal of aviation height clearance and not accusing operators of not seeking aviation height clearance permit, because we all have it. We have it on record.
Other stakeholders corroborated his views, insisting it could cause great damage to the economy, including security and nationwide blackouts.
Well, that is a very unfortunate situation if NCAA, took that decision. As a government organization and also a regulator, they ought to have also approached the NCC as a regulator on this matter before, coming out public with those kind of issues, because this has a very huge national security implication. When you bring down 7,000 base stations in this country, you are calling for communication blackout in the country. So the implication is far-reaching. I hope this will not happen. But of course, NCC management will also look at this issue and discuss with the management of NCA.
The Aviation Authority should sit down with the industry players and actually discuss this, because if you arbitrarily pull down masts, it will have security implications on the entire nation. People will not be able to make calls. Data will not be able to be transmitted. It has real security implications. Government agencies who have coordinate responsibility to regulate different sectors should actually liaise with NCC and not take arbitrary decisions like that.
Well, I have spoken directly to the immediate first managing director of FAN. He said no. He denied this. He said all they are advising our operators to do is to ensure their masts are well lit, to alert low-flying objects like planes and other low-flying objects, in our skies. He said there was never a time such a statement was made, and therefore we do not think FAN will go ahead or NCAA will go ahead to pull down 70,000 masts. That will not happen. I have the assurances of the immediate first MD of NCAA.
And that's good news for the industry.
It is. We have written, I would like this to go out, please. Okay. We have formally written, drawing attention to the danger of pulling down 7,000 masts to the economy and to the security of this country. And the managing director of that agency, that important agency of government, has assured me that no such a thing will happen. So we should all relax.
In this exclusive interview, spokesman of the Aviation Apex Regulator, Sam Adurogboye, explained that it was compelled to take the action when the telecommunication providers failed to obtain statutory aviation height clearance.
The issue involved here, contrary to what is being painted as if it's basically for revenue, it's not for revenue. But whether it's a high-rise building, whether it's a tower, whatever that you are putting up that is high up there, it requires you obtain a height clearance. It didn't start with NCA. From time immemorial, we used to have what we call Civil Aviation Department, CAD. In the olden days, they occupied this building. At the time, we don't even have NCA. When we have what we have is Ministry of Transport. But there was still a regulatory arm that regulated aviation within that old system. It used to be CAD. They regulated the height of what they call Benite Hotel in Ikeja. They are the one that regulated Guinness height. Guinness was to be a high-rise building. Why did it happen? Because they have to control whatever that is going on. If you are building any construction, be it residential quarters, be it hotel, whatever, of course you are going to go to approach town planning for approval. Town planning will definitely lead the person to Aviation Authority for height clearance. So the law has always been there. So the idea is, why do you have to obtain a height clearance? Because there is what we call a flight path. On the flight path, from one point to the other, there are navigational aids that were installed that guide the pilot to bring the plane from one point to the other and follow a route safely and get to destination. Now, there is what you call a holding area. For every flying to any destination, there is always a holding area, because you arrive in your destination, there may be more than one plane that is coming in to land, and they can be, and it's only one runway. So they will not all be clear to land at the same time. They will be clearing them one after the other, and you put others. The air traffic controller will put the others on hold. And will take them, and of course, holding area will not be one. Because, for example, in Lagos, in the evenings, you have about 24 flights in the air, all arriving at the same time to land. What do? They put them on hold, send some to the redeem area, send some to Ibadan area, send some down to Songo area, some as far as Ilorin. So there are holding area all over the place. And when a plane is flying, whether holding, whether flying, it must not have a bodily contact with any object. If you have a bodily contact, it's coming down. So this is why a height clearance must be obtained from NCAA. Because you as a person, as an individual, you will not know a holding area, you will not know a fly path. And this is why we must. So when you install your facilities, before you even install, you approach NCAA, then they will go and inspect. And of course, it's not a thing that is predetermined. It is the location, the topography that determines the height clearance that can be allowed based on, is it on a path, is it on the holding area, is it close to aerodrome. These are the predetermined issues that guide all this. One of the meetings we had, we are the one that even suggested to all of them to collocate. What does that mean? Because this idea of Glo have its own mass, Airtel has its own mass, and all of them having mass all over the place. Just one mass, they cannot collocate. They didn't listen to that suggestion. If it's for us to make money, the more you scatter, is it not the more we charge and go and inspect and make money? But that is not the idea. We even suggest, it's on record, we have minutes in all the meetings, and I will prepare to be in all the meetings. So we even suggested, collocate on one. In the whole of Ikeja, you can have only one mass, and you all collocate. Thank God for technology. It doesn't have to be big now. Gone are the day will come with the big ditch. Today is something that can put in your pocket. See what to put here. So, but when they got to Niger Delta and they were having crisis of setting up their masses, those who went through and succeeded, they started to be co-locating. What you suggested at the beginning, they didn't buy.
So co-location is going on in the Niger Delta?
Of course it's going on, because there were circumstances forced them to now agree. That we co-locate does not, we are in business, but it has nothing. You just have to, interdependence. Nobody can go alone in any business. In the airline business, we find ourselves where we are. There is no airline in the world that is on its own. All the big airlines, Delta and British Airways, they all form alliance. They form alliance here and there. One world, Star Alliance, one world. You can't cover the whole world by yourself. You get to a point where you need to hand over your passenger to another, and you will fly to your final destination with your ticket. Then, of course, there is a clearing house where you sort out yourself, just like banks. You take your check to First Bank from Zenith, they honor it, they clear it at the clearing house in CBN. It's the same thing with the airline business. So it's the same thing with communication. Come together, use the same facility, achieve, so that I don't have to be putting on structure of mass all over the place. You don't have to be putting all over the place. If one is there, all of you use it. And it's safe cost. You imagine the number of generators that are installed all over the place. One generator in one location will serve all these people. So we have suggested all this. And so an organization that is after money, revenue, will it be suggesting that? So
what's your message to the telecom industry? Because this report has given, impression out there that the NCAA is against, the mobile or the industry. But
from this explanation, you can be obvious. A Nigerian organization, a government agency, be against Nigeria, it's out of it. So people should know.
This is in national interest, not
safety.
And
safety of lives. And once you come to, let me tell you, federal government presidential fleet is under NCAA. They comply 100% to our regulations. When they bought the biggest plane of presidential fleet, which is BBJ, they wrote Nigerian Air Force on it, one. NCAA wrote a letter to the presidency. Do you want to take it to Air Force? Because we don't regulate military. It's Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. And they said, no, we abide by you, sir. But that's why law has to make it autonomous. Because lives are involved. They comply in training, in maintenance, in insurance. They comply in total. At this point, forget about it. Because lives are involved. There are instances, one or two places they want to go. We say, no, you can't operate to this place. And they abide, even at that number one level.
The presidency?
Yes.